What are the different parts in a story? In this lesson, you will learn how to identify different parts of a story by using a plot development chart. First, let's review. A typical story usually has rising action, and this is when the conflict escalates to the climax, and the climax occurs when the conflict has escalated to cause permanent change to the main character, to the falling action or resolution, and this is what brings a story to the end. So students, a common mistake we often see when reading stories is not taking the time to think about typical plot development to help understand the story. Today we're going to look at some passages in the story of Arachne, Nature's Weaver, and as I read this passage out loud, I want you to listen to me as I think through where conflict might be developing. So listen to me as I read. You must not let your ambition soar too high or boast that your work exceeds that of the gods, the hunched old woman told Arachne. If you dream that one day you might equal Athena, the greatest of all craftswomen, you have committed a punishable crime. So I'm going to get my virtual sticky note out, and I'm looking for conflict developing. And I see conflict developing where the old woman tells Arachne that she has committed a punishable crime if she compares herself to Athena in her weaving abilities. So I'm going to jot that down. A disguised Athena warns Arachne. And what this does for me, it makes me wonder what will happen to Arachne. Now let's take a look at this next passage. And again, I'm looking for conflict that might be developing. The goddess, without hesitation, took her place at a loom by Arachne's side. The two women, one mortal, one immortal, went to work and wove through the long night. So I see conflict further developing here where Athena has now entered a contest against Arachne. So I'm going to jot that down. And what this does for me is it makes me wonder who will win the contest. So now I'm still continuing reading. It makes me want to keep turning the pages. Let's listen to this passage. Unable to contain her anger any longer, Athena threw aside her boxwood shuttle and ripped Arachne's gorgeous cloth to shreds. Wow, some strong conflict is occurring there. Got my sticky note out. Athena rips Arachne's gorgeous cloth to shreds. That's an escalating conflict, so I'm going to jot that down. And now this makes me wonder what will happen next. Okay? So now let's take a look at this passage. Forevermore, Arachne, you and your descendants shall live only to weave. By this curse, the fair mortal of Lydia morphed into an 8-legged spider. Morphed into an 8-legged spider. I remember the climax of a story happens when the main character has a permanent change. So I'm going to write down that there's a permanent change in the main character where she gets morphed into an 8-legged spider. Then I'm going to continue looking at passages. She was doomed to weave delicate and beautiful wonders, unmatched by any, for all eternity. For all eternity. This makes me think that there's falling action or resolution. It doesn't seem like there's much else that can occur. Arachne and her descendants doomed to weave for all eternity. So now let's take a look at how all of my sticky notes fit on my plot development chart. First, we have a disguised Athena warns Arachne. And then Athena and Arachne enter a contest against each other, and the rising action continues to escalate when Athena shreds Arachne's cloth. Then we really think that the climax occurred when Athena morphs Arachne into a spider because we see a permanent change occur in the main character. And it seems logical because the falling action is that Arachne and her descendants are doomed to weave as spiders for eternity. There aren't any unanswered questions. It seems like the story comes to an end. So now let's take a look at what we should do when we're filling out a plot development chart to understand stories better. First, pause when you come to text that shows conflict or solution. Second, you want to determine if the text is part of the rising action, the climax, or the resolution. And third, jot your notes down in the correct places on a plot development chart. In this lesson, you have learned how to define parts of a story by using a plot development chart.